Sweet.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Come on in, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on all post notifications. There you go. And need a commercial insurance for your semi-truck, box truck, trucking business. There is a link and a phone number in the description below. Up for renewal, looking for a more affordable insurance, commercial insurance solution for your trucking business. There is a link and a description below. Log Rock, partner, sponsor of the channel. Come on in, make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good weekend. So, if you ask them where's the disclaimer, where is the anthem, where is all this shit that I normally go through before I come on stream, while YouTube is sending out the notifications, I don't know, I was cleaning up some folders and I think I deleted all that stuff. So I got to build all that stuff out again. But how's everybody doing? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Happy Mother's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to the women that watch the channel. So where did we leave off last week? We did 3 episodes like we normally do. And then Friday, we had a pop-up edition of the Wise Men show that kind of it kind of went crazy. And I know a lot of people didn't watch it because not from the views, but I can tell from the comments. You know what I'm saying? So if you didn't watch that episode, well, let me not say didn't watch it. They didn't watch it all the way through. They didn't watch it all the way through, because if they did, I'm pretty sure it would have been a lot more engagement in the comment section. But that was a pretty interesting live stream, say the least. I think Kirk did mention Friday that he was going to stream at some point today. He did mention it to me again through a text message. I think he called me, was it yesterday or Saturday? He's definitely going live. Well, he told me he was going live this evening. So he got some stuff he want to get off his chest. So be on the lookout for that. All right, so today, and I'm promise you I'm gonna be in and out today. I don't even think I'm gonna open up the phone lines. I don't got time. I got some shit that I gotta do. So today we want to get into this gig economy stuff. We're gonna circle the block on the giggers, because we haven't talked to the giggers in a while. And we need to talk to the giggers, man. It seems like what happened last year, I don't know why this shit is that people feel like this shit has happened already all over again. It shit already happened. That market already corrected itself. That ecosystem corrected itself last year. But I guess the people who were able to hang on, who were, you know, who kind of got around that gig economy kind of correcting itself last year, are the ones that are complaining now. And they're saying it's collapsing. So what I want to do today is I want to react to, I'm thinking he's the top gig creator, Driver Mike. You guys ever heard of him? So he did a video and he said it's collapsing. So we're going to react to that video. And then we're going to get into this whole thing about, you know, work. And this is a topic that it seems like it's just, it doesn't slow down. Like, people are complaining about working, it's slavery and all this. And I've been putting out some content revolving around that. And it's interesting to me of what some people put in the comment section. How people support just the laziness and the lack of discipline and the crybaby shit, bro. Like, what I don't understand is this freedom that people want, this lifestyle that people want, the ability to maneuver around how they want. Like, how do you get that shit if you ain't really got no bread? Like, where does the bread come from? If you complaining about work, how are you going to get the money to be able to have the freedom and take the vacations and eat at Nobu and go to bars and just drink and not worry about the tab and buy clothes and have nice dinners and whatever it is these people want to do, bro? How do you do these things if you don't work and acquire money to do these things? So we're going to talk about that as well. So, and I know, listen, I know some of our favorite people may show up. You know, I ain't going to say their names, but some of our popular giggers, they may show up because they get in their feelings about things. Like, whenever you tell the truth, in today's society, the truth hurts. When you're honest and you tell people the truth, it hurts. When you tell a person, look, reality is you got to work. People get upset and man, Mark, it's the slave ship and the cost of living, and we shouldn't have to work every day. And I'm just like, bro, you talking to a person, that's all I know. That's what I witnessed growing up. That's what I've been through. I never knew it no other way. So me personally, I don't understand a world where you don't work. You complain about work, but you want the finest things in life. I don't get it, bro. And you get crucified when you say that shit on the internet, bro. You get crucified. So we gonna cover the gig thing. I want to hear what Mr. Mike says, because he's the main guy in the gig space. So he put this stream about the gig economy collapsing. We're gonna react to this, and then we're gonna get into the whole work thing. You dig? Let's see what Mr. Mike talking about.
On today's episode of the gig economy is absolutely collapsing. And yeah, kind of have to be stupid to still be doing this stuff in 2026. Why would you do this? Even though I've seen a gig worker make good money in multiple states, I'm consistently making good money. And our audience, I see it down below in the comments, sure, not everyone, but following the best practices that I teach here, I hear that it helps them make more money. Well, let's see though. Let's find out, really. See if we can get both sides here. You can share your side down below. Is the gig economy kind of like worthless in 2026 or not?
Here's an example of one driver where every time a ride pops up on his phone, he only has a few seconds to decide whether to accept it before another driver takes it, which shows you there's still a lot of competition. This is in the Los Angeles area, which I'm sure it's always going to be highly competitive there. One ride comes up that might pay only $7 for just a little over a mile ride. Sounds good, but it takes 7 minutes just to get to the person that you want to go pick up. You could get an airport run, for example, that could come up. And that's a little over a 13-mile trip, which in Los Angeles could take an unknown amount of time.
Okay, why are we talking about fringe cases? We're talking about LA, the most saturated, populated, and just traffic dense marketplace in general. We're talking about airport runs. We're talking about a run that'll take longer because of traffic. This is exactly my point. If you don't know which ones to decline, which ones aren't worth it, don't accept the $6 4.5 mile run. Don't accept. And I just drove Uber for the NFL draft here in Pittsburgh, rideshare. I would not accept something that took me 35 minutes away. Even if it was, what, $25 for 35 minutes, I'm making good money for that hour. But if I'm in the middle of nowhere, I have to consider that. So if you don't know that stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that the platform's garbage. It kind of means like your strategies are garbage.
But the main reason he decided to take the airport trip is because of gas prices. In LA right now, it's well over $6 a gallon for most.
Yes, and we're also talking about the nation, the highest gas prices in the nation. We're talking about the microcosm, which is not good, of LA. Prices here in Pittsburgh are $5 a gallon. Yes, gas prices are high. Yes, that eats into your margin. Is that going to be that way forever? No.
Yeah, lately they've been doing things like introducing fuel discounts and things like that for Uber. And
so what's going to be the new norm? That's the question. Because we don't know. This could possibly be the new norm. Now, Mark, how do you know that? Why would you say such a thing? Because Mark is old enough to remember a time when gas was less than $1 a gallon. And what may be the new norm to people who weren't alive back then, which would be, let's say, about $3 a gallon, to me, just remembering gas, regular unleaded, being less than $1, to y'all, that's the new, $3 is the new norm. To me, when I first started driving, I remember filling up for 89 cents a gallon. So eventually $3 became the new norm. You know, things happen, gas shot up, people complain like they're doing now, and it's settled somewhere around $3 a gallon, depending on where you are in the country. So when he says that it's not going to be like that forever, we don't know that. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm telling you, from a 46-year-old man, when I first started driving, I remember when diesel was less than regular unleaded. There was once upon a time where diesel was less than regular unleaded. Yes, it was. I remember when diesel was 99 cents a gallon. Yes, I do. And some of you guys never seen nothing like that because you're just not old enough. So we can't say if this is going to be like this forever. This may, what I'm saying, and I'm not hoping it is, right? But we don't know where fuel is going to retrace to, and we're going to create a new norm. That's all that I'm saying.
Lyft and DoorDash, giving people a little extra
It's not
money
enough,
back
right?
for the gas prices, but 10, 15 cents a gallon. Come on, guys. Like, what is that doing when gas went from, $2.70 a gallon to over $4 a gallon? And
it's not the gig. And this is me saying this as like, not sponsored. I'm just a gig worker like maybe you, but I've been in this space a long time. It's not the gig company's job to manage nationwide gas prices. I'm sorry, that argument doesn't make any sense. It's not their job to mitigate and manage national gas prices. That's a more macro level issue. It's a macro level issue that affects their platform. And yeah, it sucks. As you and I, as drivers, I just went out there the other day. It was at $4.99.9.
I don't think it necessarily affects the platform. I think it affects the service providers that are on the platform. But I agree with him. Like, it's not the gig economy and the gig platform's job to police fuel. It has nothing to do with what they got going on. This is why they roll over all the costs to the gig worker, the service provider. It's your job to figure that shit out, right? Whatever 30%, let's say let's look at it from the food perspective, right? They charge the restaurant 30% to be on the platform. So 30% of each order, it goes to Grubhub or DoorDash or Uber Eats. At 30% is at 30%. The cost associated, right, with getting it delivered, they don't eat that. You do. So when fuel goes up, if your car insurance goes up, so on and so forth, that cuts into your profit margins. It's doesn't affect them.
And like he says, I know like California and stuff, it's closer to $6. We've seen this before. What was that, 2018 or something? We've seen this before. It's going to go back down.
2022, all right, is when the last fuel spike, and then 2014, and then before that, 2008.
Still out here doing it full time. Let me know in the comments, but it's getting rough.
Hold on.
We've seen this before. What was that, 2018 or something? We've seen this before. It's going to go back down.
All right, so he keeps promising it. But here's the thing. We don't know how high it's going to get to, and we don't know what it's going to retrace to. It could retrace to a place where it settles higher than what it was prior to this event that just took place a few months ago, which was one of the reasons, which was the reason why it started to increase in the first place. And I'm telling you this as just an older gentleman. I'm not wishing anything. I don't want you to think I'm being pessimistic, like I'm hoping. I'm just telling you, once upon a time, I remember a time where fuel was less than $1 and it just continued to rise, right? Inflation played a part, but I remember when 08 hit. It went up and then it never went back to what it was, whatever that event was in 08. I can't remember what it was that caused that fuel increase. And then I remember back right before Obama took office, it went down and people were excited, but then it went back up again. And then I remember in 2014 was my first experience as a business owner with a fuel spike. And I remember having to deal with that in 2014. I can't remember, I think Ebola or something. I can't remember. Don't quote me on the reason for the spike. Something happened in 2014. I can't remember. I do remember the year because I remember that was like the first time I, in business, in this industry, it affected me, right? And I had to make some adjustments to still, keep my profit margins, where I wanted them to be, right? And then obviously 2022, we know what happened in 2022, but whenever we see them spike up and they do retrace, for the most part, they never really go all the way back to what they were, right? Because if that was the case, then we would be nowhere near where we are now. And prior to this event, we wouldn't have even been there. Because like I said, I remember a time where regular unleaded was less than $1 a gallon. I remember a 99-cent diesel. I remember seeing 99 cents for diesel, you know? So if I was him, I'd be a little bit careful on, you know, how I put certain things out there, because what you do know on the internet, you got to be careful. People will take everything you say at face value. That's why I'm giving this disclaimer. We don't know how it's going to get, and if it does retrace, when it does retrace, we don't know if it's going to retrace all the way back to what it was prior to this current event that has caused it to spike, right?
Still out here doing it full time. Let me know in the comments, but it's getting rough.
And this is based off living experience. I've experienced this just living, all right?
Go ahead and figure your situation out. Or if, you know, you might got other situations with money coming in and just still works good out with you, cool. But if you're actually doing this full time and this is the only thing you have bringing in the money, go get you a part-time job. Or go get you a full-time job, because gig work is dying. I'm pretty sure.
I did not think this video was going to go this way. Everyone's talking about full-time gig work. If you're a full-time gig worker, get a part-time job, or ideally a full-time job. Man, my initial reaction is yes. Again, it's like I'm saying the same thing here. I don't recommend this as a full-time job.
Now, here is the main gigger. He's the main gigger. He says he does not recommend. Now, when I say he's the main gigger, this is from my research and just subscriber count. And I've seen him pop up, you know, from time to time. And, you know, he seems to be doing okay, you know what I'm saying, based on what he's saying. And, you know, when he says he's doing okay, I have to keep in mind with the size of his platform, his subscriber base. You know, he has a sponsored channel, so he's supplementing the fact that he is large in the gig economy space. He probably has, his channel's probably sponsored. He got sponsorships and shit like that, right? But for him to be in this position as far as influence in the gig space, he's saying you should get a full-time job. Now, Big Mark been telling you, don't ever treat a gig like a full-time job, because it's called a gig worker. Gig meaning a side thing, meaning something you use to supplement something else. You hear a police officer say, yo, I gotta go to my side gig, man. I'm bouncing at this nightclub. I'm checking IDs at this bar. You hear nurses, they got side gigs where they work their 36 hours, but then they may go work at another hospital a day a week. It's a side gig. It's extra. I don't know why people quit their jobs in the late 2010s and throughout the pandemic to become a full-time gig worker. A full-time gig worker. It doesn't, when you say it, you comprehend it, it doesn't, full-time gig worker? Like, it shit doesn't even make sense. So now you got driver, Mr. What's his name? What's this guy's name?
Because you want to
Your driver, Mike, is telling you the same thing. You should have a job, a full-time job, and you should use the gig work to supplement. You wouldn't be in this position if you utilize these platforms for what they were intended for in the first place. But when I told you this, and if the shoe doesn't fit, don't put it on. Last year, the year before last, you know, you wanted to crucify the big homie. Like it just is what it is. Why do you think, like, on a platform like UberDash or DoorDash or whatever, Uber Eats, where it's highly competitive, where it's a marketplace, that they were going to continue to pay you these exorbitant fees forever and a day? Eventually, these companies, these startup companies, their goal is to be profitable. Why? Because the shareholders It's not their job to make sure you're profitable. It's their job to make sure the shareholders are profitable. And that's where a lot of people get it misconstrued. And when I try to explain this to people, they get upset. And I'm like, why do you get upset instead of listening to what somebody's telling you, processing it, go behind, do your own research to see if it makes sense, and then make any adjustments? I invest into DoorDash. DoorDash has more of a responsibility to make sure I make money than you do if you do DoorDash. If you're a dasher, their responsibility is to make sure I get a return on my investment, not you. And to some people, that may hurt your feelings. If that hurts your feelings, then that means you're mentally, you don't know what the hell you're doing. That means you don't understand what's going on. And I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. I swear I'm not. I'm just trying to teach people business and curb that ignorant mindset. That's all I'm trying to do. All right. And it may come off harsh because I'm direct, but I don't know no other way to put it. It's the company's job to ensure a return on investment to the shareholders. First, we can look at a recent event. Look at Spirit. The government was going to give them the money. One of the reasons why Spirit didn't take the money from the government, because the government said, yo, we want X, X, Y, Y, Z, 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 but we also want our money back first. Spirit said, no, we have a responsibility to pay our shareholders back first. The government said, man, fuck all that. We ain't trying to hear none of that shit. If we bail you out, we want 90% stake. We want to convert some of these planes over to warplanes, this, that, and with some other stipulations, and we want our bread back first. Spirit said, nah, we have a responsibility to pay the shareholders back first. And that's ultimately why Spirit said, nah, we can't do it. Even in that situation, the corporate company told the government, yo, we have to pay the shareholders back first. Fuck everybody else. And they said that to the government. So now let's look at you, rideshare driver, you Uber dasher, roadie guy, or whatever the case may be. Why do you think it's their responsibility to make sure those rates that you get when you hear that little ping are profitable enough for you to keep up with the cost of living, whatever it is that you're complaining about? This shit is supply and demand. This shit is capitalism. Their main objective, their main goal is to make sure that the shareholders get a return on investment. Period. That's it and that's all. So when I be challenging people and then you be coming in my comment section in your feelings, that's why I turn around and have to come back on a live stream and do one of these cook-ups and make you look ignorant. And I be trying not to do that. The only thing you have to do is sit your behind down, go pick up a book, go do some research, do some Googling, and educate yourself. And stop responding with emotion and start responding with logic. This is why when I get into these debates, I be cool. I be chilling. I don't get upset. Why? Because I know that I got you. 100% of the people I debate, I eat them alive. Why? Because they're debating from feeling. Because they feel like they deserve something. You don't deserve a motherfucking thing. Eat what you kill. Nobody owes you nothing. You're playing the game wrong. I invest in the DoorDash. I make more money off of DoorDash than you do, and you out in the field. Why? Because DoorDash has a responsibility to make sure I get a return on my investment. Not you. It's not their responsibility to make sure you're profitable out going to a restaurant, picking up an order, then driving 9 miles to drop the shit off.
App and just absolutely handpick the highest paying offers so you can make an extra 200 to 500, 800 a week, versus full time. Like I mentioned, you are locked in. It's like, I have these 5 apps. This is all I got. So if anything changes, I don't disagree with that. If you are a full-time driver and you're seeing stuff like starting to decline 20, 30%, and if you've been doing this for 5 years, yeah, You might want to look at certifications, trainings, degrees, or even just leveraging your work experience. Interesting. This is an argument kind of against full-time gig work. And my stance on that has never really changed. We're just seeing it kind of heightened here. This is interesting.
Gig apps is literally dead. I've been out here 3 hours. Guess how much coinage I made?
0.
$12. I've been on Roadie, and I got the DoorDash app opened up.
Now, this is something that, who was it? Crazy and, remember a few months ago, they tried to come at the big homie Crazy and Sosa and, man, you got a multi-app. And I'm like, what's a multi-app? I guess that's having the gig apps on at the same time. So it looks like he's multiple apping and he's doing $12 every 3 hours.
Houston is like overly saturated with people, so something pop up, it be gone in a second. Don't come to Houston thinking like, oh, you're gonna do gig apps.
He on the
Fruits. And you're gonna make a whole lot of coin, because that's not the case. None of us wants to have a 9-to-5, so that's why everything is overly saturated. Because
there you go, right there. There you go. There you go. So you got a bunch of people who don't want to go out and do what's in their best interest. They want to go be giggers, full-time giggers, or you can't even say full-time giggers because they only do it when they need something. They got to pay a bill, so they might go ham this week because this is coming up due this week. Or they might go ham this week because it's Rolling Loud. They got to get their Rolling Loud tickets. They got to book their flight. They got to get their drip. They got to get their drugs and shit for Rolling Loud. You dig what I'm saying? Like, this is when they go ham, and then when there's nothing coming up or there's nothing that they want to do, they laxy-daisy on it. They don't put forth the effort in. But the whole convenience of being able to do it when you want to do it is what attracts a lot of people too, because, you know, for some reason, people just they can't handle a schedule or responsibility. Be here at 6, be here at 9, get off at 5. They want to be able to come and go as they please. And to be honest with you, this is going to be the result when you have a mindset where you frown upon a job and what a job can provide, which is stability, some form of stability. The gig app isn't even stable. Can't provide you stability. Why? You're competing. You're competing against people who have the same mindset as you, who don't want to work, who try to utilize the gig app as a full-time job. And then you're competing against the people who do have full-time jobs or part-time jobs who are using the gig app for what it was intended for in the first place, which is to supplement. And then you're in a market like Houston, which is the 4th largest market in the country. So it's a lot of people that are trying to get by, or a lot of people that are trying to get ahead, or a lot of people that are ahead that are using the gig app to make extra money so they can take 100% of that revenue and invest it into stocks or crypto or saving up for a house, something that's going to generate more money. Not everybody that's using the gig app is using it wrong. There you have it.
In reality, we shouldn't have a 9-to-5.
Oh,
Did he say?
That's not the case. None of us wants to have a 9-to-5, so that's why everything is overly saturated, because in reality, we shouldn't have a 9-to-5.
oh.
So, and see what I'm saying? Like, in reality, you shouldn't have the 9-to-5. I'm curious. The kid looks like he's about in his 20s. You know, I'm curious to know how old his parents are and what if his parents have had to work for a living. Like, if you don't have, in reality, if you're not supposed to have a 9-to-5, then what are you supposed to be doing? If you're not supposed to have a 9-to-5, what you supposed to be doing, big dog? Like, where the money gonna come from? Where's it gonna come from, bro? Like, I don't understand this shit, bro. I don't get it, bro. This shit is crazy to me. But then you want to argue when a motherfucker tell you, yo, go get a job. Oh, man, you a slave for the... Motherfucker told me in my comments today, I'm a slave for the... I ain't worked a corporate job in over 2 decades. Over 2 decades. What do you mean? So who I'm a slave to? Time? Because that's all I got, time. Why? Earned it. I don't frown upon a job. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. 90% of people who try, they're going to fail. This guy's lost. Talking about why nobody should have a job. Then what?
I think it's overly saturated because in reality, we shouldn't have a 9 to 5.
Oh, we could get into that. I disagree with that. I think there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. No. I mean, I worked a 9 to 5 for decades. Customer service, a very simple call center job. I've worked retail. I've unloaded trucks. There's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. But back to the gig economy. If you're just on Roadie and DoorDash, what about Uber Eats? What about Grubhub? What about Deliver That in catering? What about, I told you, I just saw a shopper just absolutely dominate Walmart Spark, Shipt, Instacart. When and where are you driving in Houston? Do you always drive in that spot? Have you tried different areas? What about seasonality? And I have said, I give it to you straight here. Sorry, if you're sitting around for 3 hours, why have you been there for 3 hours? I would never wait with nothing making $12 for 3 hours. If you've been waiting for like 45 minutes, go home. That's why you can't rely on gig work income. I've been laid off and I had to rely on gig work income.
This guy's this is probably one of the only giggers that I've come across that to me is realistic. So far, I don't have any qualms with him, except, he was kind of hard on the gas retracing. I would kind of be careful with that because it may not retrace all the way back to what it was. But for the most part, it's a pretty reasonable guy.
Income. This was years ago. Like, I get it. And you better be applying for jobs and stuff because you can see the volatility here. It's a different discussion here. But say you have another job, don't sit around for 3 hours. I'm sitting there for 45 minutes. If I get one offer for $8, I'm out of there. Thankfully, I never really have to do that. Sometimes I've waited like 20 some minutes and I'll hang in there and then my shift starts to pick up some steam here. I've seen this before though, sitting around. I hear stories like, yeah, I was out there for 4 hours and I only took 2 offers. No, we're cutting the cord after like 45 minutes.
This is going to be my opinion. This is based on my experiences. Which app is most reliable? Oh, y'all going to say it's Walmart Spark? Nah. Oh, it's Instacart? Nah. Oh, these food delivery apps, Uber Eats and DoorDash? Hell no. The most reliable app, in my opinion, in 2026, is a Ship app. Here's why. See, we already done a lot of orders for these customers that you deliver to. A lot of them might make you a preferred shopper, depending on your customer service, depending on how you bag the groceries, etc. Right? On top of that, compared to these other apps, Walmart, Spark, Instacart, there's more offers you're going to choose from, depending on where your area is.
Maybe Shipt. Target-owned Shipt is the most reliable. I guess we can lump that into like, is he inferring best paying? Reliable means like predictable, steady income. So he's saying, at least, again, anecdotal. This is like basically we have some studies and stuff, but we'll keep it anecdotal for now. So he's saying he has more choice on Shipts. They have a preferred shopper. They could choose you as a preferred shopper on Shipt. So it's more predictable that they're going to tip well. Maybe. Instacart is arguably bigger, just as far as customer counts. I don't know. Let's see what he says.
You do a lot of offers. They're going to keep showing you a lot of offers because they know you in that area and you've been doing a lot of orders in that area. So
not necessarily. I mean, I don't have access to the algorithms of all of these gig companies. That'd be pretty insane if I did. But just because you've done shops there doesn't algorithmically for sure guarantee that. It certainly could seem that way, but we don't know for sure. Like, yeah, you shop in center of Pittsburgh, we're going to send you the Ship shopper more offers just because of that. Now, you can get kind of a guarantee of that with rewards programs. Instacart, CartStars, Walmart tiers, DoorDash, Dasher rewards, where you get priority to either batches, the scheduling of the batches, seeing batches first, higher paying offers, which is like the best perk if you get priority to higher paying offers.
But there is one thing that I am still slightly embarrassed about. And I'm going to share it with you like I share everything else. Okay. I still have this slight inkling of embarrassment about the fact that I have to work gig economy jobs and roles to supplement some of my income. And I know that this is something that is so stupid. I know it.
So she talks about being embarrassed. It seems more like just the, again, macroeconomics of like, I'm not making enough money, so I need to do gig work to, I guess, have enough money. I want to talk about that more macro level question though. Like, should we be embarrassed about doing gig work? Like, should you be embarrassed to like tell, literally, this is a great place to end it, to tell your friend like, hey, I can't meet after work on Thursday. I'm going to DoorDash a little bit. I'm trying to make some extra money.
No. The example he's using, no. Why? Because that shows that you're responsible. If you can't tell your friend that you can't hang out because you have to go work a second job or do gig work so that you can pay your bills, that's just a responsible adult. It's not something to be embarrassed about. And if you allow, if you're easily influenced that you'll go out and you'll kick it and do that, you just lack discipline. This is all that is.
Money. Would you be embarrassed to like tell your significant, like your girlfriend, boyfriend, like, hey, I do Instacart on the side. Like, is that cool? You had plans with your girlfriends. I'm going to do Instacart for a little bit.
Hey, bro, I see a lot of bad chicks doing Instacart. When I be in the grocery store, I see them in there doing Instacart. It's a lot of bad chicks, a lot of baddies. A lot of baddies do Instacart on the low, dog. Maybe it's just my location I get to see them. But I see a lot of baddies on the low, dog. They be doing the Insta. You did what I'm saying? You could tell because they be all over the grocery store lost looking for shit that they don't typically buy for themselves. You know what you're doing when you go in the grocery store, you walk in with your cart, you start in the produce, and you work your way through. When you working your way straight through, and this motherfucker steady running back and forth and scanning shit with their phone, that's the clue. That's the clue right there. Like, why you keep running back? Why you don't come in at the front door and just walk straight through and then go to the aisle 1, aisle 2, aisle 3, aisle 4, aisle 5, all the way to the back and then go check out? Why are you steady crossing? That's how you know. And then they be frustrated. And then you'll be in the catch up. Why they want this type of catch up? That's how you know. Be a lot of bad chicks doing Instacart with the BBLs.
I have 2 degrees. I'm 38. I have an MBA. And this is all I do. I help you make money in different side hustles. If you could like the video, subscribe if you want to maximize your own income in the gig economy. Check out our ShiftMate app as well for iOS to help track, grade, and discover.
He got 2 MBAs and he out here. He said he got 2 MBAs and he out here. So it is what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do.
New apps and side hustles in the gig economy. But like, think about it. In the 90s, I think if you told someone, I have an MBA and I'm delivering for Pizza Hut, they would have been like, bro, like bro's life fell off. We didn't really even say that in the 90s. Dude's life fell off. We didn't even say fall.
That's because back then your degrees took you a lot further. Obviously there were more opportunities, right, for work, and your degrees took you further than they do now.
Fell off. You get the point.
So 2 MBAs in the 90s is different than 2 MBAs today.
It's not the best look to deliver pizzas in the 90s with an MBA. Now it's like, oh yeah, I just did some DoorDash, and people get it. But even when I deliver to like nice houses or like a cool party and I'm like the delivery guy, do I still feel some kind of way about that? Like, oh, here's your pizza, guys. Maybe a little bit like deep down, I'm like, oh, I do other stuff as well. I'm not just a pizza guy, but don't get down on yourself. Like most of this stuff is transitory. People are doing this in between jobs. People are doing this, yes, to make some extra money, like this creator said. I don't think you have to be embarrassed by it though. Like, I like it. I just did 3 days of Uber driving. I like talking to everybody. I like doing the deliveries. It's pretty easy work. You know, I like chatting people up, but it doesn't mean like you don't have value. And I've talked about this before. It doesn't mean you don't have value. You don't have skills in other like places of the workforce. Just remember that. Like, I don't think doing gig work makes you like a lesser person. It doesn't mean you don't have skills. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to make some extra money, and this is super easy because I can do this whenever I want. So in episode 2 of Is the Gig Economy Failing? I don't think so. I mean, I think I'll continue to stand by that. I think it rewards those who hustle. It's not free money. I talked about this in episode 1, if you will. You know, no free bonuses, no free sign-on incentives and stuff. But for an economy, an industry that is so easy to start and do it when, where, and how you want, I think that's pretty nice. Now, trust me, it's not without its flaws, which is what I try to provide you here. But let me know your argument. What side are you on?
I think it was a pretty good assessment. The economy isn't. I think it's correcting itself. I think it's been correcting itself for the past year or so. Like, you know, this is what companies do when they start up. You know, they use VC money. They're incentivized with VC money. They use a lot of that money for marketing. They use a lot of that money to incentivize service providers to come onto the platform to meet the demand of the marketing that they're doing to get consumers onto the platform, right? You're marketing to have consumers to use the app. So that means you have to market and you have to incentivize the service providers to come on as well. And they're knowingly doing this at a loss initially. They're using the VC money to get to a point where, you know, they drive out the competition. They fight through the wars in that particular sector. And then they focus on profitability. And that's when you see them slowly start to increase the price for consumers and slowly start to lower the price for the service providers. The problem is the people that come onto these apps and these startup apps very, very early on, they get accustomed to what they're being paid, and they think that's normal and that's supposed to be the way it's supposed to be, and they're not understanding. No, you're being over incentivized currently. This is not what you would normally get. They're just paying you this to get you to stop whatever the hell you was doing to get you over here to meet the demand that we're creating. And eventually, when we get to that place, we're going to start to seek profitability, and we're going to go up on the consumers, and we're going to go down on you. But by this time, you'll be stuck in what you consider the rat race as it pertains to work, but over here in the gig economy, all while the shareholders are starting to get a return on their investment. And that's just what it is. You know, if you want to run and you want to complain for the people that complain over that, you don't understand business. It's not designed for you to get rich and buy a house and shit. That shit is over there is designed for you to make extra money on top of whatever it is you're doing as your full-time job. All right. Now let's get into this whole work thing that's going on the internet, right? A lot of people, especially on TikTok, bro. I don't know what it is about TikTok, but people over on TikTok just be complaining, bro. And what I don't understand is if you don't want to work, if you're tired of working, what is it that you're going to do? What is you going to do? Where's the money going to come from?
Talk about this shit.
And I put out a couple videos overnight that I just reacted to on some cool shit. I might do a few more of those reactions because it seems to stir the pot a little bit. And that's what I like to do, especially as it pertains to, you know, some educational stuff where we can have some good educational conversations and debates. Hold on. But there's a guy who's commenting. Oh, I think he deleted his last. No, did he delete it? Hold on, let me see how to blow this up. Give me 1 second, y'all. Hold on. I be having trying to blow this stuff up. All right, that's as good as it's gonna get. Fuck it. But anyway, I put out a couple videos about just what I've been seeing on TikTok. I'm probably gonna react to some more because I see it triggers people, and then they say a lot of things based on feeling instead of logic. And then it pertains to the whole, just the work. You know, a lot of people are saying, working a job is slavery and so on and so forth. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of this, it just comes from the internet, you know, people misleading people. Um, and the internet lying to people. Social media has convinced people that working a real job or normal jobs is like failure. So like I put up this video yesterday or last night, whenever, and this guy's complaining that he makes $11 over minimum wage and still complaining that he doesn't have extra money to have fun and do all this other shit and da 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 da. So I do my little commentary after, and some guy named Deshaun Johnson says, "You're missing the point of what he's saying." I said, "No, I'm not. He's complaining because he has no money to enjoy life." Those are his words. Tell him most people don't start to enjoy life until later on in life. It gets greater later. He needs to put his head down and get to work and make good choices and decisions and be grateful. Like, you can't be out here complaining about a job. A job, especially today, you know, more so in a few years, but even now, I'm realizing that a job is a privilege. And people have to be thankful because there's someone that wishes they were in that position. I'm seeing more and more tents pop up in places that I normally don't see tents. To me, that's an indicator. That's a sign. He comes back and says, "Mark, no, he is complaining that he makes good money and still can't afford life because everything is so high. Where our pay isn't matching or comparing to what it used to be. Stop trying to critique what he is saying, talking down or calling a black man weak." Why do people always pull the black man thing? Calling the black man weak or lazy because he venting. He is lazy. Fuck you mean? He venting. He's a man on the internet crying. What you mean? Everything's so high where our pay isn't matching or comparing to what it used to be. This ain't the 50s, pimp. This ain't the 50s. This ain't the 50s. Inflation has continued to rise. Like I said, bro, I remember filling up, bro, for 89 cents a gallon, pimp. No cap. I remember filling up for less than $1 a gallon. Am I going to sit up here and complain about, I think I filled up yesterday. It was like $5.79 a gallon. Man, just put the card in the pump, click the pump, go sit in the car until it click. What do I know from living? The cost of living going to continue to rise. So you know what? You got to make more money. Period. Ain't no sense. Complaining ain't going to never get you nowhere. Only thing complaining going to do is you're going to lose time where you could be doing something to make money. And guess what? I hate to be the bearer of bad news. As time goes on, the cost of living is just going to get higher and higher and higher. You let social media tell you that working a job was failure. You allow people on social media to influence you into believing that everybody should be rich or everybody should be an entrepreneur. I can tell you that that's not the case. 90% of the people who try to be an entrepreneur, 90% of them going to fail. What do you see when I try to coach these young people, even some of these older people? What's the main thing that causes a lot of these people to fail? They don't even know what it's costing them to operate. They don't even sit down to take the time to understand what it costs them to operate. So why do you feel like you deserve to be an entrepreneur when you won't even sit down and do what's in your best interest? Work should always feel exciting. Who told you? Like where, like, why do y'all believe this, bro? Who told you work should be exciting? Work is work. Anybody that I know, and I ask them, yo, how's work today? Man, work is work. That's how you know you're dealing with somebody that's real. They don't complain about it. They may not champion it. They hit you with the simple, work is work. That's an individual that's understand what's known don't need to be explained. They get it. It's just something that got to be done. And if you have something that can provide a good living or just a living that keeps a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food on the table, and that's something to be thankful for. Or the internet has perpetuated you guys into believing that success should happen fast. That's cap as well. So when I see guys like this complaining, I know there's going to be weak people that come into the comment section because of how I critique it that feel the same way. And then I have to come around and get you in your place. When shit happens, you have to be a problem solver, not a complainer. A lot of the people that's complaining on the internet, when you take a deep look into their lifestyle, there's things that aren't necessary. Certain brands may not be necessary. Certain subscriptions may not be necessary for the time. You got to stay down till you come up. You got people now that got a pair of shoes for every outfit, bro. I remember coming up, man, my OG got me a pair of like every 4 months I got a new pair of shoes. The thing is back then we didn't have social media to see a false perception of what life is. This shit is fool on the internet. It's fool. When the internet didn't exist, people were normal. We wore the same pair of sneakers every fucking day. I swear for God on everything I love. And nobody looked down on the other person because they wore the same pair of sneakers every day. You didn't hear every time you look up, man, mama was gone. Man, where your mom at? Man, she out of town. 2 weeks later, man, where your mom at? I ain't seen your mama standing on the porch. Man, she out of town. You took a family vacation once a year. If you took that, now everybody got to catch flight. The people that I see on the internet, and I swear for God, it ain't just the internet. You know, I know people in real life be tweaking. You dig what I'm saying? Doing the most. But be the same motherfucker. Hey, you know, can you borrow me $350, $375, man, until Friday? Be the same motherfucker, bro. Why? In my head, I'm just like, bro, you was literally went to so-and-so for the weekend. Bro, I just seen your ass on Facebook. Boy, you ass was turned last week, boy, at the club. Lack of discipline. It was a lot of shit that I wanted in my 20s. I couldn't get it. The dope boys is who we kind of looked up to back in the day. You know, when I came up in the era where, the dope game was way different than it is now. And those was kind of the guys that was shining in the neighborhood. And, back in the 90s, man, if you had a clean ass Chevy on 30s and Vogues, you was the man. Clean ass Chevy with 30s and Vogues and some Wang in your trunk, 215s in your trunk. You was the man. But guess what? Couldn't get that. Was nowhere to go vent, nor did I go vent. Just put my head down and kept working. And that's what most people did once upon a time. So what I'm saying is social media is peer pressure. The thing is, it's worse than what peer pressure used to be. Way worse. success doesn't happen overnight. People that are my age, maybe a little younger, about my age, our parents are boomers. Our parents didn't start to live until they retired. They worked 30, 35 years happily, counting down to that day of retirement. They get that retirement party. If you have a parent that's a boomer, they're probably on a good pension. But they worked all those years. We're proud. We're talking about a generation of proud, hardworking people. But now we're looking at people frown upon a job. To me, I will never, ever, 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 and I don't care if you like it, I will never agree to the mindset that I see out here today. I will never talk down on an individual with a job. I will never talk down on a person who wants to get a job. You see when people call up all the time, it don't take me long to have a conversation with a person to understand that, yo, and people get mad. Buddy ass came over here a few weeks ago. You can't tell me how to talk to my people. Certain things that I understand that you don't understand. I can listen to a person talk and say, yo, bro, he ain't got it. Just about the shit he's saying. Yo, it's best. Some people need delegation. Not everybody can process. Not everybody has critical thinking skills. Not everybody has problem solving skills. And that's something people have to look in the mirror and face reality. I'm not going to talk to someone and I'm listening to them talk and see where their mindset at and they got a good job and sit up here and knowing based on what I'm hearing that they got a great job, and based on what I'm hearing, they talking about quitting that job, knowing that it's a likelihood that they ain't going to be one of them ones, that 10%. And then, but once they quit that job, the likelihood they're going to get it back is very slim. No, it's better that you keep your job, pimp. Fuck what these people on the internet talking about. How can you frown up on a job when some of your parents work their motherfucking ass off on a job to be able to keep a roof over your goddamn head? That's just like spitting in their face. I'll never say no goofy shit like that. And that's why these people on the internet that be crying and complaining be crashing out. Because they followers. They're not leaders. They allow the internet and people on the internet to influence their mindset into believing this foolishness. So then you look at regular life as resentment. Regular life is taking your ass to work every day. It's always been like that. How do you look at regular life as resent regular life? Regular life has always been get your ass up, go to work, bring your ass home, pay bills. Get your ass up, go to work, pay bills, bring your ass home, pay bills. Some people work in certain industries and have certain jobs that are able to provide them a higher quality of life. Some people practice group economics where the husband and then the wife work and both of them work in industries and have attained degrees, and it has allowed them to, make a certain amount of money, and now their money it comes together and they're able to have a better quality of life than maybe two people that are blue collar workers. So yeah, they're in a different class, and this person is here. These two people here, this person here that has the blue collar job. That's still nothing to frown upon. You have a modest home. You have clothes on your back. You have shoes on your feet. You're able to take a family vacation maybe once or twice a year. You have 2 cars. They may not be Benzes. They may not be BMWs. They may not be pickup trucks and $100,000 cars. Maybe a Honda Accord and a Camry or a Ford Explorer. But it's something to be thankful for. And a job is what allowed you and helped you to acquire this quality of life. Because if you take a ride, depending on where you live at, there's somebody somewhere sleeping under a bridge in a tent, or sleeping in a tent in a park, or sleeping in their car in a Walmart parking lot. So I'm not like, you come in my comments with this shit, I swear for God, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. And I'm not doing it facetiously. I'm doing it because what I'm saying is the truth. As time goes on, life gets harder. And when I say life, I mean the cost of living can make life harder for a person who doesn't do what's in their best interest as when they're young. There's a lot of people that I know that are just trying to figure shit out now. And for a lot of those people, it's going to be hard. If you waste your time and then you decide that later on in life you want to get yourself together, it's going to be difficult for you because now you've pretty much aged out a lot of positions. A lot of people ain't going to want to deal with you. Why? You old, you got bad habits, you got a mindset that is hard to be influenced. It's easier to influence a more adolescent mindset. It's difficult to deal with them now, but it's easier to influence. So a lot of positions you get aged out of. It's harder for older people who want to get their life together to go start in the work field and deal with someone that's 20 years your junior telling you what to do. That's why you want to get your shit together early. TikTok and Instagram is romanticizing escaping the matrix. Why do people call it the matrix? This guy in the video that we first watched, kid, listening to lifestyle influencers that make it seem like working a job is beneath them. I know a lot of people who are retired boomers who have worked jobs for years and are paid. I know Generation X people who are on the cusp of retirement that are paid. I don't see the what's so bad about working a job. You're comparing your life to highlight reels on the internet. You may be an adolescent or naive to not understand and not realize that a lot of the shit that you see and hear is not reality. I listen to people on the internet all the time, and it's certain things that I catch where I know it's full. You may not know because you may not have lived enough life, or you may have not invested in certain things to understand that some of the shit that you may be consuming is full. A lot of this shit is full. I can see it. They're perpetuating a lifestyle and you're falling victim to it. You're buying into what they're selling. What they're selling is how they make their money. They don't care that they're misleading you. It's not in their best interest to tell you to work. It's in their best interest to perpetuate a lifestyle and sell you on a product and influence you into buying that product so that they can make money. It's food. I don't think some people hate work. A lot of the people that are going online saying that they hate work, I don't think they really hate work. I think it's the fact that their life doesn't look like the influencer's life or how the influencer perpetuates their life on the internet. There was somebody else that commented today as well under this other video. And the guy goes into talking about God and all this stuff. And then that's another thing, like, it's always the poorest people. When I say poor, it's mindset. I'm not talking about financial. Obviously, if you have a poor mindset, you're poor financially. That's why you're complaining about working in the first place, right? This fucking guy comes into my comment section on this other video. He says, well, somebody put, you don't work, you don't eat. The guy gets 8 likes. And then somebody comes under there, love, peace, which was under this video where I reacted to this lady. You know, she's crashing out and shit like that. And she put, her point is she doesn't want to work and not live life. You glorify money. You glorify money, not God. And that's why you will always be slaves. Come together, make a difference. Yes, work, but also live. To work and barely survive and give all your time to a corporation is insanity. But most never see it because they're insane, chasing their tail in a circle until they die, never even bite the tip of their tail. It's just ignorant. That's just that's a cop out, bro. That's a cop out, bro. It's a cop out. You know, Big Mark, I had to get up under that thing. I said, you don't know me. And I think she was talking to this person because it was a response to you don't work, you don't eat. But Big Mark got up under that thing. I said, you don't know me. God is the center of my life and the reason for everything I have. Secondly, slave to what? I haven't worked for a corporation over 20 years, retired at 42, which was 4 years ago. So what am I a slave to? Time? The problem with people who champion this weak mindset is laziness and the ability to have discipline, patience, and sacrifice. Life is about choices and decisions. Make better choices. That's it. What do you mean work to barely survive? This is a person who wants the money, right? They use God as a scapegoat, right? And we've been down this road with other content creators last year. You know, we got people, as soon as you back them into a corner, you know, instead of them fighting their way out with logic, right, and being able to articulate and debate their way out, they just run to God. And then here's the thing. Why can't you be a Christian, or why can't you believe in God and have money? Why is it only the poor-minded people that can only believe in God? Why is it that if you have money and you're successful, you don't glorify God? Why is that? It's always the poor people, like the crazy dude. I hope I don't speak him up because I was expecting him to be here on a day like this, but he's always using this. And then I found out that shit was cap. It's always the people who got the weakest mindset. And then when you back them into the corner, they always like, well, I'm a God-fearing person. Why you can't be a God-fearing person and take your behind to work and make money and make good decisions with the money and invest the money and things like that? Why is it only the people who are fucked up because they want to be fucked up? This person wants the money without the pressure, without the sacrifice, without the risk, without the accountability, without the structure. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've never known a time where you could just get bread and not indulge in any of those things. I never knew that time. Entrepreneurship, you sold on entrepreneurship, that's not freedom. Whoever told you on entrepreneurship is freedom, you could tell them to come over to my channel. We put a big old bag up a year or two ago. Nobody came and took the debate. Why? Because the people that sell you that lifestyle, they know some of them know what they selling you is food. They know they mislead you. Because a real entrepreneur will tell you freedom is far from the truth. All the responsibility lies on you. It's not like a job you can punch out. It's a lot of the shit outside of what you're delegated, whatever your task is that you're delegated to do, everything outside your task that you're delegated don't have nothing to do with you. If you go and you work at McDonald's and a car it crashes into the building, the McDonald's, and it goes into the building and the facade, it ain't on you. You don't have to deal with the insurance and make the call and stay late and wait for the board up crew to come. That's on the management team or whoever. It has nothing to do with you. You punch out when you punch out, you go home. Those responsibilities have nothing to do with you. If you are that franchise owner, then you're going to get that call and you're going to have to make decisions with whoever your general manager is, right? And figure out who's going to sit there and wait for the board up crew to come and all this, that, and the third. You work more When you're an owner, you have less time. The person who gets off at 5, who flips the fries, that it's not their responsibility. They're gonna go home. They're gonna kick it. They're gonna go to a Fifi. They're gonna get with their little Brisnol. They're gonna do a bunch of shit before they have to come back there whenever their next shift is, and all the shit that's associated with whatever that was that happened has nothing to do with them. They have more freedom than the person who owns the business. You got a truck, you got a driver out in the middle of the road, and he's driving overnight and the truck breaks down. He's going to call you. You got to stop what you're doing in the middle of the night, whether you're sleeping, whether you're fucking, whatever you're doing, you're working now. You have to figure that shit out. You got to problem solve. Period. Income, inconsistent income. It's business. There's ebbs and flows. You work a job, you show up to work, you do what the hell you're supposed to do. Your income is pretty much consistent as long as the job is there and you're doing what you're supposed to do. Give me a second. Income is inconsistent. There's ebbs and flows in business. Situations like this, where fuel goes up, there's a spike, you have to make adjustments. Your drivers, they're just going to continue to drive. They don't have to deal with the pressure of figuring things out. That's on you. Taxes. What I've come to find out is a lot of you guys don't do taxes. You drive, you rob from the sustainability of the business, and then when tax time comes around, you don't have the money to pay your taxes. And this is not something that I'm just making up. This is something we've seen people come up on the channel and say. This is people that have come to me behind the scenes, people in the Discord. Lawsuits. We saw that the other day on the channel. Payroll, stress, responsibility. Running a business is a great deal of responsibility. And people that run businesses right and they're real entrepreneurs, their mind is always thinking business, no matter what you're doing. And anybody that is a true entrepreneur, they're going to 100% agree with me. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. You could be on vacation on the most romantic island you've ever been on. If you're a true entrepreneur and your business is operating while you're on that island, you're thinking business. You wake up thinking business. You go to sleep thinking business. When you're in the shower, you're thinking business. When you're driving home and to from work, you're thinking business. While you're in the business, you're thinking business. You're always thinking business. Why? Because it all falls on you. This ain't one of them things where when you got a job, and I like to use this as an example, where if you got a tummy ache and you know you ain't got no days off or you ain't got no points, you still know how to go to work with a tummy ache, with an excruciating pain, and finesse your way through 8 hours. You know I can go in the bathroom for 30 minutes here. When my supervisor go on lunch, I can finesse that there. I can bullshit around a little bit. You know how to do just enough to get by and be just productive enough to get through your day and go home. Guess what? Or you might have PTO. When you own a business and you're an entrepreneur, you don't have that luxury. So where's the freedom? Where's the freedom? How do you complain about being delegated work? And I've had this debate. No, Mark, it's not the same. You can be a good boss and not be a good employee. I don't understand how. How can you train somebody to be a good employee when you are a piss poor one? for whatever reason. How? How? You come into business, or you get a job, either way, and you don't understand economics. Whatever you get paid, you have to adjust your lifestyle to accommodate whatever it is you're getting paid. If you're getting paid $20 an hour, you can't live in a penthouse. Just because your favorite content creator is showing you that they living in a penthouse, like Buddy ass that be on the internet, he go from New York to Atlanta, he rented the penthouse in New York, then he moved to Atlanta, then he moved to Miami, then he moved here. That shit look cool. Some of that shit may be sponsored. A lot of those people that settle in Miami, bro, they perpetuating a lifestyle for the low. That's why a lot of the content creators go to Miami. That's why they settle down there, because the lifestyle is a lot cheaper. It's easier to rent a Lamborghini down there. It's way cheaper to rent a Urus in Miami, because that's a marketplace where the supply and demand, there's so many luxury exotic car rental places that the prices are lower. It's a supply and demand. So they can fake to you the lifestyle, but really it's a lot cheaper. They shoot all their content in a day or two. They rent the Lamborghini $1,500 for 2 days. They shoot a month's worth of content and they call it a slow drip. You think they living like that. Whole time it's a facade. And then you buy into whatever it is they're selling. And that's how they re-up to rent the Lamborghini. But now they made a good month, so now they can rent the Urus for 4 days next month, because they re-ing up with the money that you paid into and believe in the bullshit. They rent the Airbnb for 28 days. They throw all the parties, they do all the streaming, they do everything, and you believe it. And that's why they all down in Miami, and that's why they all down in Houston. Notice they ain't doing that shit in New York. They ain't doing that shit in Chicago. They ain't doing that shit in LA. Why? Because it hits different from a cost perspective. It's cheaper down there. But see, you didn't know that. But I just put you on game. Whatever you make, your lifestyle has to adjust to whatever it is you make. You can't make $20 an hour and think you're supposed to ball out. You can't ignore things like inflation. You can't ignore things like that. You can't practice poor spending skills, poor spending habits. Even when you do start to make more money, you can't fall victim to lifestyle inflation. Bad financial habits. Something that we struggle with a lot, consumerism. I literally had a knockdown drag out with a chick 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago about it. Trying to give her a little game on some shit that she was doing. She didn't want to hear the shit. As soon as that shit started to because when you tell a motherfucker the truth, they get in their feelings. Discipline, lack of discipline. You got all these people screaming modern slavery. But then they paying $1,400 for a car note or $1,500 for a Hellcat. Or they feel like they should live in a certain area. Once upon a time, believe it or not, our parents bought their homes in what was considered the hood. Why? Because it was the place where they could affordably purchase a home. They didn't look at it as the fact, well, this is the hood. They knew it was the hood, but this is also where they could buy a home and have home ownership and just minded their fucking business. Now, We have people that want to purchase things and be house poor and live in areas where really they can't afford. I know somebody who finessed their paperwork to get a house. People finesse their shit all the time, bro. And as soon as that motion or whatever that motion she had to cover that mortgage, as soon as that motion slowed down, now she in a tough situation. Couldn't really afford the house to begin with. 30 years, that's not something you can afford. You got motion. You put yourself in a situation so that you could get it on the finesse. You could keep up with the mortgage initially, but what you doing, you see what I'm saying? That shit might not last forever. And then if it don't, then what? You done put yourself in a tough situation that really can't nobody help you out of. So that's what I'm saying. People who put themselves in these tough financial situations. Then the hard times that everybody's talking about. And then I'm gonna tell you something about hard times. Hard times is not slavery. I totally disagree when people say that shit. When I do these reactions and you come in my comment section saying, yo, working a job and hard times, this ain't the way it should be. I swear, if I take the time to engage, I'm telling you, it's not gonna go well for you. Hard times is not slavery. As far as I can remember, life has always required work. What I can remember from my research and my studies before I was even alive, people have always worked. Work has always been required. Always. So when I hear guys like in the thing earlier, the reaction said, we're not supposed to work 9 to 5s. And then the video that I did yesterday where the lady perved these people saying, we're not supposed to work. Well, what are we supposed to be doing? Because since I can remember, everybody's working. What do you mean we weren't supposed to work? Then what are we supposed to do? Struggle is unfair. Discomfort because you're at a job and you feel like it's discomfort. That's oppression. How? How? You're getting paid. You know what was oppression? Slavery. When people had to pick cotton and do all this crazy shit during slavery and didn't get paid. How dare you compare a paid wage to oppression? And then say, oh, come into my comments and say how you black and this, that, and the third. Use a goddamn, it's fucking disrespectful to your ancestors to even complain about fucking getting paid while working a job when your ancestors and our ancestors worked for fucking free. But you want to come in my comment section because I'm holding a young man, I'm giving him wisdom about why you shouldn't frown upon working a job and say, oh, this is slavery, and man, you this, that, and the third. Nigga. It's disrespectful that you even letting that shit come out your mouth because your ancestors, my ancestors, our ancestors, long time ago worked and didn't get paid. So how the fuck are you oppressed? You don't even know what oppression is. And this is why you should shut the fuck up before you get in your feelings and come in a person's comments because you're leading with your feelings, and then I'm going to say some shit, and only a fool would side with you. You getting $20-something an hour, and you talking about you fucking oppressed. You think surviving is hard now? Go imagine surviving when you're working all fucking day as a real fucking slave and then don't even get paid. This is what I'm not honoring that shit, bro. You come in my comment section talking this shit, I swear I'm gonna do a live. I'm gonna put you on the big screen and I'm gonna make you look like a fool. There's no way on God's green earth I will ever complain when there's people that came before us that look like us that really struggled and didn't get shit. Physical, exhausting jobs, nigga. Then getting their ass beat. What are you talking about in my comment section with this goofball ass shit? And this is why I say it's weak. It's emotional. It's sensitive. Because before I would fix my lips to say anything like that, I'm going to think before I speak. I'm not going to lead with my feelings and emotions. I'm never going to allow a person to put me in the situation that I have you in now. Because I'm thinking with my feelings instead of thinking logically to work and barely survive. Where's this fucking guy at? To work and barely survive and give all your time to a corporation is insanity. Imagine giving all your time. You don't even own your time. And then giving all your time during the day and beating your body to shit, working hard under this hot ass sun, and then don't get shit from it, but some slop at the end of the day. You know what? Whatever it is that you're doing, be thankful for it. Adjust your lifestyle to meet whatever it is that you got coming in. Do whatever it is you need to do to change your situation so that you can make more money, whether that be educate yourself, whether that be go out and get a second job. Once upon a time, getting a second job was not frowned upon. Families have always struggled. Struggle is not something new. This is why certain generations work really, really hard. There's a matriarch or a patriarch or a combination of both in families that have already done it or are struggling to do it today that are working extremely hard and making all the sacrifices so that the future generations in their family don't have to. They'll never get a chance to enjoy what they're working so that the next generation and generation after that doesn't have to. If you are a part of a lineage that hasn't done that, then be the change and become that person. But I'll be honest. You may work your fingers to the bone doing it so that the next generation doesn't have to, and you may not get a chance to enjoy it. There's a possibility you can do it depending on the industry, depending on how much discipline you have, depending on the investments, depending on time. That you may work a substantial amount of years and still have some time to enjoy it. But you have to be the person who starts it. Sitting around complaining ain't gonna do shit. It's gonna continue to leave you right where the fuck you at. And eventually life is gonna catch up with you. And God forbid you go end up in a tent. I've always known struggle to be reality. I've never seen it any other way. I come from communities where everybody in the neighborhood was struggling, just getting by. This is not something that's abnormal. Social media has made you feel like this is not life. No, this is normal life, to be honest with you. What are you going to do about it to get yourself up out of that situation? You're oppressed? I was watching somebody react to a chick yesterday. I can't forget. She was complaining. She was getting written up. She was recording that she was getting written up. They didn't know she was recording. And she was still in time. And they say, yo, you've been punching in from your phone at the crib. And she said, well, the only reason I had to get up was to come here. So yeah, I'm punching in. I lost my shit, bro. Hold on, where my butt? I lost my shit when she said that. Well, the only reason I had to get up was to come to work. So yeah, I punched the clock. No, you're supposed to punch in from the computer when you get to work. You're punching in at the crib. Why are you punching at the crib? Well, the only reason I had to get up was to come to work. So you use that. Listen how ignorant that shit sounds. You feel like you're oppressed. You feel like it's good to steal time from the clock because you got to go to work. And then you say, oh, you got oppressed. No, what you're experiencing is being an adult. That's what you're experiencing, is being an adult. Why do you feel trapped? Beats, I hope you trolling. I talked to you many times, Beats. I hope you trolling. I hope you trolling. Why do people feel trapped? Why? Is it because they own no assets? They have no savings? They have no leverage? Is it because they live paycheck to paycheck? Why? I think all these things that I just mentioned, no assets, living paycheck to paycheck, no savings, no leverage, it creates fear. And there's a difference from working a job and being financially dependent forever. If you look at a career or a job the right way, which I'm seeing most people aren't, you'll be fine. A lot of people go work at a job, and even the people that are still working at a job, or the people that are complaining that are at a job, they're just not doing what they're supposed to do. Once again, social media comes into the fix. They're working. I was watching a reaction to a chick yesterday. She was complaining about people and downing people who work Saturday and Sunday. Why would you want to work Saturday and Sunday? Everybody just need to stop working Saturday and Sunday. And then my mind, I'm like, okay, well, if everybody listens to your stupid ass, then what about industries of service or goods like grocery stores? If everybody listened to your dumb ass, then all the grocery stores would be closed. There'll be pharmacies closed. This is the stupid shit that people say on the internet on TikTok. I was going to react to that, but it was just too short. So I said no. She's looking down upon people who work weekends because she no longer has to. It's the fucking stupidest shit I've heard in my life. I think people, but here's what she's saying. Because on Friday, I got to catch a flight. I'm catching flights on Friday. I work Monday through Friday because Friday, I got to catch a flight. And if I got to be at work on Monday, I make sure my flight landed Monday at 5 a.m. and I'm going to work at 6. There you go right there. You work all week to book a flight and pay for a trip every other weekend or once a month. But then you're still complaining in other TikToks. You making fun of the people who work on weekends there, but we go through your TikToks a little bit further, you complaining about the economy. You complaining about the economy 3-4 weeks ago, and now you trying to down people that work on the weekend, but you catching flights. So there goes lifestyle inflation. Those flights, those trips, that could be money from your job that you're earning, that you could be saving, that you could be investing. It's what you do with the job. Once upon a time, and I have to use data, historical data, once upon a time, people invested into their future. People invested into their retirement. Not anymore. Now you have to live the lifestyle. It's hard for people to save for 20 and 30 years down the line. So based on what we're seeing now, these shorties, 20, 30 years down the line, they're going to be worse than the ones that are out here today because they ain't going to have shit. Job opportunities are going to be less. Their parents is fucked up. Their parents' mindset is fucked up. They're going to need generational wealth more so than previous generations because they're going to have less opportunities. It's going to be going to be way harder for them. And their parents aren't thinking about that because their parents are too busy trying to keep up with the Joneses on the internet. They're spending the money that they should be saving for the future, like normal people do. Not everybody gonna have a bigger bag of discretionary spending. Not everybody gonna do that. Why? Because some people's lifestyles, some people's choices and decisions is gonna be a little bit different. Some people gonna go to school to be a surgeon. Some people gonna go to school to be a lawyer. Some people gonna start a business in a specific time and generate a lot of money. Some people gonna start that same business in another time and they're not gonna have the success as the person who they listen to. There's gonna be people who come from affluence and generational wealth and they're gonna get a kickstart. There's gonna be people that are gonna have to get it out the mud. Everybody can't live the same lifestyle. Everybody discretionary bag gonna be different. Everybody can't have the same discretionary bag. Some people gonna have to live modest. Some people can live above modest. Some people can live the life of rally. There's people that got money that could live the life of rally, but they live modest. There's people that really supposed to be living modest, that's living the life of rally, and they ain't got a pot to piss in nor a window to throw it out of, and then they on the internet complaining about the goddamn economy. So there's all different people in all different situations and all different mindsets. And this is why I'm saying you can't allow the internet to formulate or to mislead you. You have to use your critical thinking skills, logic. You have to sacrifice. You have to be disciplined. You have to be patient. And we're in a time where you have to build outside of work, possibly. Not everybody's going to work a job that pays them $250,000 a year. You're right. The cost of living is higher now. So that means I'm totally opposite of what the people that I've been reacting to lately think. I'm in total opposition. I'm totally in disagreement with what people saying. In today's time, you need to work more. Now, I know that's going to hurt some people. What do you mean? I don't want to work in the first place. Well, the cost of living is higher. We're not living in a time period where one income could cover a whole household. We're not living in a time period where two modest incomes could provide a comfortable quality of life. We're in a time period where the cost of living is high. And if that's the situation, then you can't work less. You got to work more. And that's reality. Now, you can not like it. To me, I really don't care because I'm not sitting up here lying to you, I'm telling you the truth. And if you work really, really hard and you have discipline, you invest your money into the right things, I promise you it'll get greater later. I promise you that. I promise you that. Now, it may not happen in your 20s. May not happen in your 30s. You might have gray hairs. You might be in your 40s. Some of you might get lucky. Some of you might not get lucky. You might just have discipline and you might work really, really hard, limit your lifestyle, invest the extra money you coming in, and something may happen in the economy and one of your investments, it may just balloon and skyrocket. And then you take that money and you diversify it into other things and you catch you a good run. But life is about choices and decisions. I think people need to stop romanticizing entrepreneurship. Most businesses fail. Most businesses that we see, especially in this thing, and I'm being honest, undercapitalized, emotionally driven because you're in your feelings. You're listening to people on the internet. They're sending you off. You're following trends. This whole box truck thing was a trend, and a lot of people followed it and failed. They're still following it, undercapitalized, making illogical, emotional decisions. What's your cost per mile? Man, Mark, well, I need that. You got a business plan? Why I need that? Desperation. Why? Because you quit your job. You see how many people call up to this show, well, did, because I haven't been taking calls for a couple of weeks, with stable jobs and want to quit because they believe an influencer. We've had people call up a few months ago. I had like 3 people call up in 1 week, all making 125, 130,000. Want to quit to get a box truck. CDL drivers want to quit to get a box truck, thinking that they're going to be able to bring home what they bringing home in the goddamn truck. No, not with one box truck. If you're making 130 as a company driver, you're not going to be able to pay yourself that. They're thinking, well, man, my favorite influencer said, man, the box truck can make 175, 200. Well, did you think about the cost associated with operating the box truck? Well, it can't be that much. Well, let's say you do generate 200,000. How much of that you think is going to be associated with fuel? Oh, about 25, 30%. All right, now subtract 30% from 200,000. Oh, man. Okay, now you want to bring home 130. There's still truck fees, maintenance fees, insurance fees, other miscellaneous fees, all the other fees that are tolls, dispatching fees if you got a dispatcher. Now you way under 100,000 just off cost. Still haven't paid yourself yet. This is why you see a lot of these guys fail. Lack understanding, following trends based off desperation, because the internet, all goes back to the internet, has told them that they're a slave. Ignore the math. We see that all the time. Don't understand market conditions. Don't understand capitalism. Capitalism rewards value. It rewards skill. It rewards leverage. It rewards discipline. And a lot of people I see, they just don't have that. They don't have that mindset. They don't understand capitalism. The companies, the giggers, the gig guys, they don't understand that DoorDash are capitalist. Uber is capital. They're capitalist. This is a capitalistic country. You can't come into business thinking like how these guys think. These guys with this slave mentality, thinking work is slavery. These are the guys that switch over into the box truck business and fail because they don't have a capitalistic mindset. They're weak. They're weak. This is a capitalistic country. You have to have a capitalistic mindset, period. Entrepreneurship doesn't guarantee comfort. It doesn't guarantee fairness. It doesn't guarantee luxury. It doesn't guarantee this emotional fulfillment. Why you come into people's comment section with this dumb shit? And this is why I can cook up. You give me the cook up. You give it to me. You make this shit easy for me because you're in your feelings. And this is why people are crying on the internet, crying on TikTok. The time that they're spending crying, they could be working. If you're an older person and you're crying on the internet, even worse. What the fuck have you been doing the past 25 years of your life? There's no excuse. Life is work. Like, All I know is work. That's it. Not everybody's going to have the same quality of life. And that's just the bottom line, man. And this is just a conversation that nobody wants to have. And I get it because a lot of people can't articulate it. A lot of people don't want the blowback. But me, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. And I'll keep keeping it a buck with you. What you're saying is true. But that doesn't negate the fact that you have to work. The fact that wages aren't keeping up with inflation, that's true. That doesn't negate the fact that you still have to work, but you just have to work harder. The fact doesn't, you can't, just because it's fact doesn't mean you cry and boo-hoo about it. It means you solve the problem. Or you go live in a tent. Housing cost is going through the roof. That means you may have to work a job and then work another job and then work another job. And this is not something that's not new. I've seen people do it when the economy wasn't in this position. Healthcare cost. Entrepreneurship, guess what? You got to pay your own healthcare. A lot of y'all don't have it. I'm spending what, $800 a month. And that shit come out, United Health take that shit out my account on the 1st. And guess what? If the 1st fall on the weekend, they take it out on the 29th. It is what it is. When I first got my health insurance, I got it in 2011. That was one of the first things I did when I started making money. I got a health insurance plan. The same plan. Is nowhere near what I pay now. Is nowhere near what I paid when I first got. It goes up and up and up. Last year it went up 3 times. This is part of it being entrepreneurship. You got to pay your own health care. Corporate greed for the guys that work jobs, it's normal. You want to quit your job complaining about corporate greed to go start a business to have to do it the same shit to the employees. That's what I understand. Like, I don't understand it. I don't worry about what other people make. I don't care. What another person's putting in their pocket, I don't care. If we're doing business, I negotiate what I need. It's either we come to an agreement based on our negotiations or we don't. If we come to an agreement on our negotiations and I get what I negotiate for, you get what you negotiate. I don't give a goddamn what the other person's making. When I see people on the internet, man, the broker making this, the 3PL, I don't give a listen, if I say, yo, I need a nickel, then that's what I need. If I find out they got X, Y, and Z, cool. I got what I negotiated for. How can I fucking go on the internet and complain about what another motherfucker make? It's just like a person coming to you complaining about what you making off of them. You gonna be like, man, get the fuck out of my business. You get what you negotiate. You don't, like, the concern of somebody else. I've never been concerned with a 3PL. And then when I found out they was making 50%, it didn't bother me. Why? Man, they warehousing this shit. They got dispatch. They got branch managers. They got ops supervisors. They have a corporation, cost, insurances. I get it. I 100% get it. I've never been the person with, man, my trucks are doing work. I got all the liability. No, I never thought that shit. Why? Because I got what I negotiated and I was fine with it. I don't count other people's pockets. That's sucker shit to me, bro. I wasn't brought up like that. That's not what men do. We don't count other people's pockets. And I know there's people on the internet, people that watch the channel, people in the comment sections that do, and they whine and complain. And there's a thought, a word in my mind that I think about you, and I'm just not going to articulate that out here. But where I come from, we don't count other people's pockets. We negotiate, we get what we negotiate, and we're fine. We're not worried about what you got going on. There's a word. I'm not going to say the word for men that do that. You know what the word is if you one of them ones. You can't negotiate. So you want to know what the other motherfucker got going on so you could try to base what it is you can get based on what they doing, and you still don't know how to negotiate, right? Because you don't know what it's costing you to operate your business. Layoffs are coming. So you know what that means with automation and AI? Get your shit together. That's all that shit mean. That means stop fucking around and stop bullshitting. That's all that means. All automation, more AI means is that get your shit together. Or fuck around and find out. Why? A job, it's becoming a privilege. You shouldn't look down on people that have it. If you have a job, you shouldn't be looking down on it. You should be talking bad about it. You should be grateful because it is becoming a privilege to have one. And the people that shun it, the people that are quitting and going into entrepreneurship, and you ain't no killer like that. You ain't entrepreneurship material, and that shit don't work. That job that you walked out on that was a lick because you've been there 10 years and you're not gonna get it back. It's gonna go to somebody else if it's not already been displaced or replaced, I should say, with some form of automation or AI. So more layoffs are coming. So that means stop bullshitting and get your shit together. That's all that means. If you're in that situation, if you came to me and be like, Mark, I'm worried about automation and AI, man, I'm gonna be like, well, get your shit together, pimp. What's known don't need to be explained. That's what I'm gonna say to you because that's the honest answer. That's the truth. I'm not gonna tell you, oh, go live life. I'm gonna tell you to get your shit together, pimp, because it's about to go down. You can acknowledge flaws in the system because flaws always been in the system. That's why I say when people come with this whole president, I don't give a fuck who's the president. You know why? Because regardless of who's in the White House, there's one thing for sure and two things for certain. The bill still got to get paid. People's gas don't give a fuck. God damn it. ComEd don't care. The banks don't care. All the bills, they don't care. State Farm don't care. I've had State Farm since I can remember, since the first time I needed insurance, 98. State Farm, I done gone through different presidents, different blue, red, and State Farm still billed my ass every month. They didn't care. So one thing is for sure, two things is for certain. Bills still got to get paid. Personal responsibility still matters. You can acknowledge all the flaws in the system. There's been plenty of flaws in the system since my remembrance of paying attention to the system. There's always been flaws in the system. So what are you going to do? You going to sit around, mope, and complain, or are you just going to understand that life is life, work is work, and get to it? Put your head down, focus on the shit that matters, get to it, get to work, and then look up and realize what you built later and then enjoy life. Or you can be like these people that I'm going to keep reacting to. Hey, Mark from the first 12 years of my life we grew up, we was on the west side. In 92, my mom bought a house over east. She's still over east. Mark ain't never lived in the burbs. Mark ain't never lived in the good areas of the town, which is another example of an individual using my mom who worked really, really hard to retirement and is living life. All this shit that I see women do now, girls trips, and my mom never did that shit, bro. She worked overtime. She worked overtime. And God bless my grandma's soul until she passed. We spent a lot of time at Granny house because mama was working. All I saw was work. That's why when I turned 18, I started working. I wanted to work before 18. I wanted to work at 16. I worked 2 full-time jobs in college, 2, and went to school full-time. I've done some of the hardest work imaginable. You got niggas don't even want to touch shit nowadays. You got motherfuckers who white collar motherfuckers, they don't even want to leave the house. They want to work from home, from Zoom. They want a motherfucker to pay them $150,000 to log into Zoom and cover up their camera and take naps and shit. I know people that do it every day. That shit coming to an end too. And y'all be like, damn, Mark, you don't charge for, you don't do mentorship, you don't do coach, you just come on here and talk and get a game for free. Yeah. Yeah. Things that make you go, There's choices and there's decisions. There's choices and then there's decisions. So I totally disagree with this ignorance that I'm seeing. I can argue and debate you, whoever feels like that mindset, and you'll lose. Because one thing is for sure and two things is for certain. This lifestyle that people want to live, you got to have money, and the only way to get money is to work. If you want freedom, that means you need to work for money. That means you need to be very disciplined, very disciplined. That means you need to live a very modest lifestyle so that you can invest more money into different vehicles that can make and generate more money, and set a timeline and do that for maybe 10 or 15 years, and then maybe divest from actually punching a clock and going to work and leveraging what you've built, that money, to start making money for you. You got to work for money to get to a place where the money can work for you. It doesn't happen with nothing. The money doesn't come out of thin air. You got to work for it, and you have to be disciplined. You can't live above your means. You have to be disciplined. You have to master the art of saying no, whether it be no to your friends, maybe it be no to a significant other, maybe it'll be no to certain things that you want in life that you've been saving money for, and you actually see the money because you have exercised discipline for 5 years and you've built up a nice nest egg, and that money is there, and just having the discipline to keep letting it grow and not touching it. A lot of people start, and they'll start good. They'll get to like year 4 or 5 and they'll see that little bag, and then they just want to touch it. You got to still have discipline once you see it growing, not to touch it. But don't fall victim to this shit on the internet. These people that's on the internet crying and complaining and whimpering and shit, they're just weak-minded people. I don't feel bad for them because it's not something that worth feeling bad for, bro. Like, you're complaining about work. It's not like, you were faced, like, none of these people that I react to were faced with, like, they're not telling stories of, they're telling stories of lack of gratitude. It's not like these detrimental situations where just life just threw them a curve. You're complaining about your job and not wanting to work. And like this guy earlier who said, why we shouldn't have to work 9 to 5. It's ignorance, bro. It's ignorance, bro. And I know there's not many people on the internet speaking the truth. Why? Because when you speak the truth, you get demonized for it. You get crucified. The truth will get you crucified, right? But what I've realized is that a lot of the people who shun work and perpetuate this lifestyle, they don't have the balls to articulate. When they get challenged, they're not going to come up and have the conversation because it's going to be detrimental to their credibility, and their credibility, they need that to sell you the products that's misleading you in the first place. And once I realize that, that's why I can comfortably come here and be honest with you and tell you the truth. You got to work. All right. So shout out to Beer Guts. Rudy says, Rudy, I've never met Obama in my life. I don't know Obama. I don't know Obama. I don't know Obama, bro. I don't know Obama. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications. A lot of people today confuse visibility with value, comfort with growth, and instant gratification with purpose. I'm only 27, but already understand that discipline would always win over gratification. Yes, you have to be extremely disciplined, bro. Extremely disciplined. Even when you're disciplined, you're being rewarded for your discipline, and you start to see the fruits of your discipline, still being disciplined not to indulge in what you've built. Just staying disciplined, letting that shit grow, bro. So yeah, man. Discipline is what a lot of people lack. Social media is the new peer pressure, bro. You know, peer pressure has always been around, just not as prevalent as it is today. You know, what I may have endured of peer pressure, let's say when I was like in high school, was maybe a person who got every pair of new Jordans. Like my OG would make the sacrifice. I would get every other pair. And obviously I was rewarded. Jordans, they just didn't come because it was shoe time. They came, I had to do what I was supposed to do was academically, right, in school. And that was a sacrifice. You know, 125 was 135 after taxes, and 95 is a lot of money. $135 today ain't no money. But back then, that shit was a lot of money for a pair of sneakers for a 15-year-old, 16-year-old. So it was a reward for performing academically. I knew I had to perform, but I didn't get every pair. It was every other pair, which is every 4 months. Season would start. November, the white colorway would come out. February, right before his birthday, All-Star game, the black colorway would come out. Playoffs, the playoff pair would come out. So it was like every 4 months, right? Every 3 or 4 months. So I would get every other pair. My mother couldn't afford to give me a $125 pair of shoes every 2-3 months, right? So, you know, I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but yeah. And I gotta get out of here. I applied for staff MDO position. You said you never heard your parents complain about working. I never heard my parents complain. Well, my parent complained. Never, not one time, not one time. And every opportunity she could do to make extra money at work, she did. She never left nothing on the table. Never, bro. And, you know, I think, you know, the previous generations, we grew up, you know, if you were X or maybe an early millennial, our parents are boomers. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, the boomers were probably the last generation to get rich from work. You know, they acquired a lot of wealth from work. Obviously, the times were different. Real estate was different. Wages and compared to the cost of living, that gap wasn't as wide as it is today, right? It was way closer. So it was a different time period. And the boomers that really took advantage of that, though, then they're still living, you can see it. You can see it in their real estate portfolio. You can see it in, you know, annuities and just their portfolios, whatever, you know, however they invested their money, right? You can see that. Um, and you know, they championed being workers. They never frowned upon it. So yeah. So you said I pumped, it was 5 something. I pumped Saturday, in the South Loop. So yeah, I pumped 5 something Saturday in the South Loop. Yeah, but shout out to Antoine Jackson in the building. What up, though? All right. This has been a good one. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I do gotta skedaddle. I got some shit that I gotta do, and I gotta get out of here. So I appreciate everybody for watching. And this is gonna be, we're gonna cover just the current topics that's going on in the internet as far as work this week and the mindset of what people think of work, the economy, you know, the shit people complaining about. And I'm going to try to break it down realistically, but, you know, I don't know, man. I think people need to realize where we're at and what's to come. and, make the adjustments, or it's just going to be very, very difficult for you. And I'm not saying that, like, I wish everybody, the best, but, I'm not no 26-year-old motherfucker that's on the internet complaining. Like, I got some years of wisdom. So I'm telling you, I've only seen things going one direction, and inflation is going to continue to rise because it has always risen. And you can do your research on that. Like, a lot of the shit people whine and complain about, research will answer their questions so they don't come on the internet and sound ignorant. If you don't have age, if you haven't lived long enough to speak from existence, just living wisdom, then you can always go research it. Look at the average cost of a home in the 50s, go look at the average cost of a home in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then parallel that to the wage and cost of living gap. And you're going to see it that you're going to see it go like this. Right? So if you see the trend, right? Use your critical thinking skills, right? As time goes on, it's going to become more difficult. So do you have time to waste? Probably not. I think when we were in our 20s, we could figure things out in our 20s. I think a person in their 20s now really doesn't have that time to party and bullshit and get their shit together in their late 20s, early 30s, like once upon a time. I think the people that are in their 20s now, I think they have limited time. I think they really need to figure shit out. I think they really need to take advantage of, and here's the thing, they have the technology where it's easier in some aspects to make money, right? So there's a trade-off. There's less opportunity, but there's opportunities that are present that if they get into them, they can make a good, comfortable living, whether it be coding, even if it's something in blue collar service. There's a lack of people wanting to join apprenticeships, electricians, plumbers, diesel mechanics, HVAC. There is a shortage of people that are signing up for these apprenticeships, and they make a lot of money, but then you don't want to do physical work. You don't want to put your hand in a fucking toilet. I don't understand. There's opportunities for you to make a shit ton of money that require work, and you don't want to do it. Not everybody is going to be able to, like, if you want a good life, bro, you got to work for it. That's just it, bro. All right. I got to go. Catch you on the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Peace.